Before I start, I just want to highlight a comment that someone left on my last video, that she's constantly rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, but never changing the course. And that one line is perfect. It is a clean slice through Amberlynn Reid's farce. She'll rebrand, she'll re-strategize, she'll rename, and she'll redo every surface level habit, but never reroute, never readjust the trajectory, because the wreck is the point. This comment could be tattooed across Amberlynn Reid's forehead. It's perfect, so thank you. When I got the notification that she'd posted, I thought it was just going to be another normal video. And then I saw the runtime of 42 minutes? Of this? The audacity. There are documentaries on the fall of empires shorter than this, and arguably more optimistic. But I am strong, I am capable, we've already seen everything she's thrown at us and endured it. We've sat through chicken, sausage and veggies spiritual torment. We can do this, but it will probably change us. So let's get into it. Another weekly vlog. I got 3 minutes in before I was battling for consciousness. A bad mascara review, a half-hearted braid, and some reflective muttering about how hard it is to look happy. What is this? Existential dread? This isn't a vlog, it's just ambient noise in video form. It's the cinematic equivalent of plain oatmeal. She's apologising for last week's video being all about rumours, and this is the energy she comes back with. If boredom were fatal, we're all flatlining before the braid is finished. We get to bear witness to the buffet of chaos. Buffet. We're only 3 minutes in and it feels like a hostage tape. Let us dissect this culinary mood board of confusion. Cucumber, carrot, celery, cauliflower, broccoli. Because what is life without gastrointestinal distress? Brussels sprouts, scallion for flavour, which is bold considering the rest of the plate looks like something you'd feed to a horse with IBS, cottage cheese and mustard. It's a combo from the What If Hell Was a Salad Bar cookbook. Green olives, a hard-boiled egg that's still in its shell because of course it is. Purple grapes, raspberries, blueberries, dark chocolate, because no meal is complete without the dessert course shoved directly onto the same plate as the mustard sludge. And to finish, some chicken sausage. A beacon of processed meat among this foraged forest floor. This isn't a meal, it's just a manic veggie tray hijacked by someone with impulse control issues. She says, "Tell me that does not look like the most nutritious meal." And I'm not gonna tell her that. It looks like someone let a Sims character eat from the fridge during a glitch. The next section is where the mask slips and the rage underneath becomes almost holy. She purrs, "I love life, I love being alive." As if the sentiment itself is a substitute for saving her own life. As if getting poetic about taking out the garbage is redemption for decades of self-neglect. She speaks like she's been delivered from death, but really she's standing on death's porch and the door is open. This isn't victory, it's delusion. She romanticizes being able to do the dishes, but won't face that she's still choosing to eat herself into an early grave. There's something grotesque about how softly she frames it. Not as a woman fighting for her life, but as a woman content to float in slow motion toward the edge of a cliff, brushing her teeth and humming on the way down. And yet she'll say, "But I'm doing better." And perhaps she is in the most technical microscopic sense. But let us be clear, this is not doing better. This is delaying disaster in aesthetic packaging. Losing 1 pound a week when you're over 500 isn't triumph. It's like blowing out the candle once the building is already on fire. She talks like she has forever, like her heart isn't a time bomb. Like her knees, her lungs, her entire body haven't been screaming for change for a decade. And worst of all is she's framing this stagnation as gratitude. Gratitude is lovely, but gratitude without action is just comfort in decay. She needs to be terrified, not poetic, not reflective. Terrified. Because she's not okay. And the longer she treats this like an Instagram affirmation, the closer she inches to a legacy made entirely of wasted chances. She doesn't need to love her life. She needs to fight for it. We get to watch her do an Amazon haul, and I'm going to go back to that Titanic metaphor from the beginning. This is like watching the band play as the ship sinks. She might call it self-care, but it's just set dressing for a crumbling theatre. Emerald green sheets, her 33rd makeup case, overpriced wax melts, pineapple perfume. Anything to keep her apartment smelling like fantasy while the rot creeps beneath the floorboards. She's curating her surroundings like they're gonna save her. Like, if the lighting is soft enough and the sheets are silk, maybe her body will forget that it's in crisis. She speaks with this giddy pride. Look at my perfect little ice scooper, as if domestic novelty is proof of growth. But, darling, there's nothing empowering about spending thousands of dollars on more crap that you don't need when you've already built an entire fortress of convenience around avoidance. She's not elevating her life, she's embalming it. It's all just pageantry, a performance of stability, a glittering distraction from the decay. She talks about how she used to not be able to take out the trash, as if that alone redeems the fact that she's still £500 and spending money like she has decades to spare. And she doesn't. She's as ill as ever. She's still as disconnected, still chasing serotonin in wax melt form. But tell me again how switching your shower rug colour is proof of transformation. There's no health, no progress. Just Amazon Prime and denial in silk pillowcases. And after the Amazon haul, we go straight into a torrid haul. But I'm going to call it what it is. A costume parade at the edge of ruin. She twirls, she giggles, she clutches lace and mesh as though they're the answer to everything. As if layering fabric and polka dots over a body in crisis will somehow soften the mortal trajectory she refuses to alter. The dresses cling to her, they bulge, they scream, and yet she smiles as if all of this is cute. I'm going to be clear, this is not fashion. This is delusion with the tag still attached. She refers to her swelling like it's seasonal hay fever and not the clinical symptom of a body in failure. She frames weight loss as some hypothetical eventuality. Once I'm less swollen, she says, like she's just waiting for the tide to go out. As if it's the swelling that prevents the fit, not the £500 that must be crammed into every garment. But the real tragedy is that she doesn't try on clothes to see how they look. She tries them on to validate what she already believes. That she's beautiful, that she's improving, that things are better. Her mirror is not a tool, it's a co-conspirator. You cannot clothe a medical emergency in polka dots and call it charming. She says this is her best haul yet, and of course it is. Delusion always peaks before the collapse. After 2 clips of seeing what she's spending her money on, she treats us to a third. And this is just Jurassic desecration. She does not deserve that T-Rex. She hasn't earned it. She doesn't build Lego, she hoards it. She speaks of her backlog like it's some cozy collection of unread novels, not a towering testament to her inability to finish anything. I'm not going to start it for weeks, she says. And of course she's not. She wants the idea of progress, not the work. She says the anticipation feels as good as the build. Of course it does. That way she can skip the part where it requires actual effort and still feel accomplished. Also, this is a woman who thinks that Brussels sprouts and mustard on a paper plate is fine dining, so hearing her talk about the Titanic set feels borderline sacrilegious. I'm not even going to touch the Home Alone house. Macaulay Culkin deserves better. As a little side note, my friend Skippy has that exact T-Rex Lego set, and I know it's going to drive him crazy knowing that he has something in common with Amberlynn Reed, so I absolutely love it. Skippy, if you're listening, hide your Lego instructions. She is coming for them with mustard-stained fingers. In the next clip, she rambles on about how she's certain that Katy Perry's space trip was faked. Of course she is. We all know what she thinks about space trips. She ends the clip by telling us that it's okay if people have different opinions. And this little rhetorical tell is so classic Amberlynn. When she says it's okay to have different opinions, what she really means is, I know this is absurd, but I want to say it anyway and be insulated from criticism. When she thinks she's right, it's the gospel according to Amberlynn. You're just a hater, a troll, a jealous, obsessed gremlin in a Reddit cave who doesn't want her to succeed. But the moment she knows she's peddling flat earth tier nonsense, suddenly she's all about the freedom of thought. Katy Perry didn't go to space, the door's locked funny, a woman with a crowbar in the background confirms a NASA conspiracy. If anyone's launching into space, it's her credibility, on a flaming rocket of wilted Brussels sprouts and conspiracy lettuce. The next bit is classic Amberlynn. Minutes on end of spiralling word soup disguised as vulnerability. But it's not vulnerability, it's emotional cosplay. We go from a fire alarm to contaminated cat litter trays to her being misunderstood to some vague teary-eyed redemption arc monologue that would have been rejected from a Hallmark movie for being too incoherent. And all of it was performative. The moment she hears the words guilt or shame, she uses them like she's playing emotional Mad Libs. Sprinkle in trauma and a toxic childhood and a few lines about just wanting love, and suddenly the audience is supposed to forget that she's been doing this cycle for a decade. This isn't the testimony of someone changing. It's the script of someone who wants the credit for the idea of change while doing everything in her power to avoid it. She says, "I feel like I'm sometimes playing a character on YouTube." She is. And the problem is she thinks she's the victim in her own show. But the rest of us, we've seen these episodes before. We've read the spoilers, and the scripts never change. And frankly, it's insulting watching someone monologue about how they're growing and healing and learning while slowly rotting away in their own narcissism. She then steps out in a torrid triumph, and the dress could be cute, but it's rendered comically incompetent by the sheer weight of denial stitched into every seam. She's off to gallivant around with her mother and a friend, which of course means we're treated to an extended scene of grown adults behaving like sugar-hyped toddlers at the fair. Her mother decides to introduce her to pickleballs, and because we are spiritually cursed to witness it, she then delivers the joke that would get you kicked off a high school bus. Something about Amber having balls in her mouth. It's delightful. The class, the wit. They eat, they read fortunes, they giggle over their scraps. And finally they go to bingo, and we're shown the clips of small talk and giggles. It's riveting. I've had more tension from jigsaw puzzles. The scene meanders for an eternity. It's just the same loop padded with fabric and delusion. There is nothing here. She dressed up to do nothing. It's all filmed to prove nothing, and she posted it to feed a cycle that dares to call itself a vlog. This isn't a weekly video, it's a slow drip of brain bleach wearing a sundress. And then she's home, it's flooding, there's danger all around. And her grand revelation? She met her friend's friend. Stop the presses, her social calendar's expanded to 3 whole humans. So naturally she behaves like she's discovered a new continent. We just jived so well, she said, like she's describing a cosmic soulmate, not 5 minutes of awkward small talk over bingo cards. Her prized souvenir is a plastic novelty marker that says "oh shit" for when she marks the wrong bingo number. Peak elegance. Naturally she's enchanted. "It's so cute," she says, but I'll say what we're all thinking. It's a marker for failure, and if that isn't a metaphor for her entire channel, I don't know what is. And then we get the turkey tale, a story so painfully mundane that I think I lost consciousness from secondhand embarrassment. Her mother tells us about Amber as a child lying behind the thawing turkey saying she's babysitting it. Her mother, who earlier cracked a balls-in-mouth joke, tells this story with the delight of a woman who believes that her child is the reincarnation of B. Arthur. It's just giving Facebook boomer energy at the family barbecue. They make a brief joke about her mother suing her for using her footage, and of course that's the cherry on this dry, bland cake. She titled the video "My Mom is Suing Me." So, haha, we get it, I guess? She's filming her mother. The comedy stylings of a woman who thinks that paranoia is a personality trait. Nothing has happened. She's bought things, she's spun around in dresses, she inhaled food and oxygen in equal measure, and she's telling us she's thriving. But she's not. She's drowning in excess and excuses while Oklahoma literally floods around her. Metaphor be damned. She tells us more about her Lego, and I just don't have it in me, so I'm gonna skip it. So we go straight to the cards that she's drawing this week, closing on her oracle reading, her weekly seance with her own denial. The cards scream SOS, but she translates them into Pinterest affirmations. The first card is time delay, procrastination, too busy. The universe is exhausting, waving its arms, screaming, "Run, you sedentary banshee." She just reads it as, "I'm doing okay, but maybe I should log into the health machine." What in the Willy Wonka corporate fitness fantasy is she even talking about? Card 2 is be open, a plea for mindfulness, humility, perhaps surrender to something greater. Her interpretation, I need to stop doing things my way, but also still do them my way, but better, while being authentic. It's the spiritual equivalent of putting lipstick on a car crash. Card 3 is Awaken Your Authentic Self, which she uses to justify her wardrobe, paired with the profound revelation that strangers in public are nice and the internet is mean. Groundbreaking. She declares that health isn't at every size, but beauty is. Darling, no. This isn't beauty. This is decorated delusion. And she's still convinced the cards tell her she's thriving, that her mismatched wardrobe is confidence, that she has time. She doesn't. The universe did not send a message. It sent a final notice, and she mistook it for a compliment. And to end, she shows us a TikTok. She declares that this is her first time posting this type of content, as if we've not already lived through the mukbang dark age. But this is different, she says. This is wellness-themed chewing content, featuring raw vegetables and mustard as a lifestyle. Don't knock it till you try it, she whispers as she scoops mustard-soaked sprouts into her mouth and forces us to hear every squelch. The chewing sounds are auditory terrorism. She's clinging to the idea that she's a dainty girl, but I don't buy it. Not when the preamble to every bite is a reverent horny sigh followed by a graphic that belongs on another website entirely. She's not back to mukbangs, she's just casually filming herself, describing every bite, posting it online and turning it into a performance. But it's totally not a mukbang. And that closes another episode of the Amberlynn Delusion Hour, where vegetables are foreplay, mustard is a love language, and self-awareness is rotting in the pantry next to the cheese. She says she's in love with life while time ticks loudly in the background, counting down the minutes she has left. This isn't growth, it's not progress. This is just a woman clinging to empty aesthetics and cheap textiles, performing normality while rejecting the change she claims to pursue. And if the cards told her anything, it was this. Your time isn't just delayed, Amber. It's being wasted. Until next time, stay sharp, stay savage, and for God's sake, don't eat your meals into a microphone.